Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and hopefully I am live. I'm going to check it on YouTube. Well, let's check together. Of course, if I have sound, that would be a problem. So let me make sure my sound is not on. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to do it on my phone instead. I don't want to make you guys out. So while I'm doing this, let me tell you a little bit about what I've been working on the last couple of weeks besides moving. Is that my sister and I started looking at her, and we've been talking about this for a while, you guys know this, but we were looking at her numbers for how much she paid in listing fees to Etsy. And it turns out that she ended up paying an absurd amount. Let's see here. And it is live. So good. Yeah, she ended up paying this absurd amount. So what we were talking about was like, well, it's too bad that she couldn't list on a marketplace for free. And actually, there is a marketplace you can list for free, and we'll talk about that another time because we're going to test it and see how effective it is. Because listing for free is one thing, but listing for free and getting sales is quite another, right? So it's just kind of like one of those. You kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of each item. So anyways, we got to talking about it. We said, well, let's see what realistically the fees are. And so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you some numbers because it's really difficult to show exact numbers now, and we'll talk about why. So first of all, I just posted that in the Facebook group, I hope. And there we go. Okay, so what you see here on the screen right here is I just kind of pre-populated this. And so the way Etsy works, and we've talked about fees in the past, but not effectively, and that's because Etsy's fees vary based on country. It varies based on marketing fees, etc. So these are the fees that I remembered, at least off the top of my head, and I have to go back and double check. But this one is the 20-cent listing fee. Now, not unlike Amazon, on Amazon you pay $39.99 a month to list, I think up to 100,000 or a million. I don't remember how much it is. I don't have that many, so I wouldn't know exactly. But you pay a monthly amount to have that listing, okay? So when it sells, you have a much higher transaction fee with Amazon, and you have your miscellaneous fees on the back end part, but you do not relist when something sells, right? It's just listed, and when it's out of stock, it's out of stock. Now with Etsy, the way it works is that you get charged 20-cent listing fee for listing the item. Then when it sells, it relists the item for another 20 cents. Okay, so while people go, oh, there's only a 5% transaction fee. No, it's actually obviously depending on the price of your item, could be another percent, it could be less, it could be more than a percent, just depends on the price of the item, right? So 20 cents every single time you make a sale. So if you have a quantity of 4, that's 4 listings that you've sold, okay? So you would say, I'm listing widget A, and widget A sold 4 items of it. That's going to be 4 times 20 cents. Okay, so this is why I have an item sold and a total per item. So I assumed $15 per item on here just to give a number. But obviously, this would change based on, different factors. And eventually, we will have a calculator for you guys. I'm working on that. All right, so this is a 5% transaction fee. So this is, and I should say, these fees are all U.S. fees. So if you're in another country, your fees may be different, and you just need to Google it because it is difficult to find. So 5% transaction fee is based on both, and I put in here shipping has fees too. So this total would be including shipping. So $15 including shipping. I don't think I have any items that low, but we'll just, I might. But if your shipping fee is $5 and your item is $10, the transaction fee applies to both, which is why I did not break it out. Okay. So 5% transaction fee, that's going to be 5% of the total amount. And then 3% is the processing fees. And that's whether they pay through PayPal or Etsy payments. It doesn't matter. It's 3% plus 25 cents processing fee. And this is actually the fee that changes significantly based on country. So that amount is, of course, based on the total dollar amount. So you've got your listing fees based on your number of items sold. You've got your transaction fee based on the total dollar. And you've got your processing fees based on the total dollar. Now, marketing fees are not on all orders. And if you're just getting started on Amazon, it's 15%. And I believe it's still optional. But I will say that more than likely, you're going to want to turn that on to begin with. Now, we can't, it depends on the niche, depends on the products, depends on everything for how much of this gets charged. But we're looking at recently about 40% of the orders that were coming in to my sister's shop, and probably about 30% of mine for right now. And I have some that compete with her, and that's probably why. Come in, and that's so it's for us, it's a 12% marketing fee because we sold over $10,000. But I'm assuming, since we don't have very many people in our world that have been doing sales on Etsy, that they would be at the 15%. Okay. So what I did here is I did a formula where I took the total dollar amount, I times it by 15%, which is the marketing fees, but only did 40% of that. Okay, so that way it gives you a better number. I don't want to be like, oh, you get 15% extra marketing fee, because that would be misleading. So I'm not going to say that. So this is the total estimated fees right here. So on $150 sold, that includes shipping, by the way. So this does not exclude. So let's say that it's $15. I can tell you right now it's about $4 per item to ship. So you have $10. So even though this is $126.75, so you'd be getting 84.5% of it. You're going, oh, that's amazing. No, it's not. And here's why. Because really what we're looking at is the sum of the total, right? And then we're going to subtract, in this case, we'll just subtract $40. Okay, so this is going to end up being, oh, I did that wrong. Anyway, I wanted this other total because we already took fees out, right? So this one, and that's not including your cost of goods, right? So if you have a cost, so if you're selling it for $10, because we did $5 towards shipping, and you have $4 for cost of shipping, and so you sold it for $10, you get that extra $1 in there from them, whatever. But let's say that your item is $2, right? So there's another $20. So really, this is going to be this minus $60. And of course, this varies based on every single product and every single person, right? So this is literally just a number to show you that you have a lot of numbers to consider for your costs. And again, we're going to have a calculator put together for you, hopefully in January. I've got to get the site fixed the rest of the way. And we'll talk about that in a minute too, because that's exciting. So here we are, we're at $66. I'm like, well, that's not so bad for selling 10 items. I made $6 an item. And maybe it isn't bad, but then it just depends on how long it took you to do it. Is it scalable, et cetera, et cetera. So these are all numbers you need to consider when you are listing on Etsy. Okay, so now let's go. This is 20 items, 50 items. Obviously, you can see the number of items. So this is already calculated. I'm just going to drag this down, and it'll obviously populate that in. So now we're looking at, look at this right here. If you're selling 20,000 items, you are giving Etsy an extra $4,000. Now, I'm not going to say that that's good, that's bad, that's anything else. I'm just saying that there's a lot of costs that go into this. And you might say, Kim, well, marketing is just one of those things that you have to do. Of course, if you're down here, you're probably at the 12% marketing fees, but that's okay. So the point is that you're going to be paying a lot of fees to Amazon. I mean, look at this. This is your total fees right here, $46,000. You've got $9,000 in a processing fee. And to be honest, your processing fee, you're not going to get away from, right? You're just not. There's some of them that might be like, 0.1, 0.2% less. So if that's the case, then you can save some money, but it's going to be kind of nominal. So that processing fee, you can't really get away from because pretty much everybody charges it. And like we were looking at our own processing, like if we want to do our own processor and do our own processing fees and everything, and there's still a 25 cent plus some sort of percentage. And even though you can get that down to maybe like 2% or something, it's like, yeah, if you're passing that through to people, you have to have a cushion on that for chargebacks and everything else. So I can see where your 3% plus 0.25 cent, for 25 cents processing fee, I can see where that's not going to change much. And most of the platforms don't change. And I have a breakout of different platforms and their fees as well. Now, of course, this also assumes that you are able to sell the items on the marketplace, right? So you're able to sell items on Etsy. That's where these fees come in. Because otherwise, your 20-cent listing fee is for every 4 months. And to be honest, when we're trying to compare the marketplaces, it's kind of a nightmare because there's nothing equal. And I think they did that on purpose. But you can see here that if I'm doing $4,000 or 4,000 items and I'm selling that at $60,000, then I've got $800 in listing fees. So if I'm selling, let's pretend the 5% and everything else, let's look at the listing fees. If I'm paying $40 a month to Amazon and I'm selling items, then I'm saving money here, but it's also going into higher transaction fees. So you can see where the marketplaces are kind of hard to compare. So anyway, so these are the different kinds of, let's put this one was. This one was B10, so B10 minus G10. So that was your total there. Anyway, so that just gives you a number to look at and understand. I know we have some people in other countries that were asking about fees, and if you just do Etsy selling fees, and you're just going to have to look because they have two places that they list them. They have, of course, the listing fees. Then they have the transaction fees, which is this transaction fees of 5%. That's through Etsy.com, I should say. And then they talk about ads fees. That's their internal ads. I didn't even talk about that. I spend $1 a day on internal ads because it's just not cost effective for me to go any higher than that. And every now and again I get a sale that maybe evens it out, but I cannot make a profit on internal ads. Chrissy cannot make a profit on internal ads, right? That's just the way Etsy internal ads are, but it helps with the algorithm. So I kind of leave it on there. But here we go. Let's see here. Offsite ads fees. This is where it's 15%. And what they mean by attributed orders means that you have to make a sale that's there. So let me talk about that because this is something that's important. A lot of people go, oh, well, I wouldn't have made the sale if I didn't have marketing fees. I hear that. In fact, I used to make the same argument, right? Well, I wouldn't have made the sale if it wasn't a marketing fee. But then I saw my sister shop, and I keep saying my sister shop because she sells way more than me. And she's been on this from the beginning, right? They pushed her into it. Mandatorily, after you make $10,000, you have to be in the marketing one, which means an extra 12% on those orders that are attributed to the ads. So what ends up happening is that we looked at that and I said, Chrissy, do you realize that probably 80% of the ads are repeat buyers, which means that they're people who already bought from her and they're being retargeted. So when she's getting charged, let's see if I can pull this up so I can make real math instead of Kim math, right? So let's say she does a sale for, let's say, $175, right? So she's getting charged 12% on that. So she's getting charged $21 for retargeting a customer, right? That is expensive. You're not going to pay $21 to retarget one customer. You're going to pay maybe retarget lots of them for that. And I'm sure that's part of where it equals out. But I can almost guarantee that if she were able to do, which Etsy used to do, but they don't anymore, if she were able to do the retargeting herself, she'd be paying a lot less than 12%. She'd probably be closer to 5%. Okay? So when Etsy's saying they're great and wonderful for bringing in these external audiences because of their marketing, yes, I'm sure it's costing them money because I wonder how they're marketing when I see some of the people that come in and they cancel and it's like, okay, you're targeting the wrong people there. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that her marketing fees are super high compared to if she were on her own platform doing that, right? And so, yes, it's great for people who don't know, but it is something that is an added expense that probably isn't necessary for everyone, right? Chrissy can send out an email and get people. But here's what happens. If she sends out an email and to her people and they had clicked on an ad, even though she didn't have anything to do with that, they're going to charge that fee to her because they clicked on an ad 2 days before that, right? That's just the way theirs goes. And I understand they have to have rules and blah, blah, blah. But just understand that if you're on your own platform and you're retargeting or remarketing, those are both terms that are interchangeable for the most part, even though some places claim they're not, that you're going to be paying a lot more for those fees on Etsy. So let's go back over here. And there is a link in here, which I found the other day, and of course you've got subscription, you've got your Plus account if you want to do that. You've got your Pattern account if you choose to do that. So there's a lot of fees you can end up getting in here. So here are payment processing fees. And so it says you go to the Etsy payment. This is really difficult to find, and I don't know why. So you have to find the country list. Sorry, I'm scrolling kind of fast to make this so you guys can see it. For those that are in another country and cannot find this, it is not easy to find. I don't know why they have it. So here we go. This is the disbursements threshold. So if you're in specific countries, like I'm in the United States, I can't even get a disbursement unless it's $25 or once a week. So that's something else to keep in mind. So if you're selling low cost items like digital items, you're selling them for like $2, that's something you got to know is it's going to take a while or you have to wait once a week for that. Then, of course, other countries have different amounts. Then let's see here. We've got payment processing fees based on country. So you can see like Australia is 3% and 25 cents. That's Australian money though. I don't know how that relates to US dollars because I don't spend that. Then you've got, all obviously depending on what country you're in, you're going to see that it's going to be based on whatever the specific currency is for there. So you can see here's Ireland, 4% and 30 cents or 30 whatever 0.30. Then I saw another one in here that was worth mentioning, but I can't remember where it was. Now this one's funny. Is it Slovakia? Isn't that he just told me that they stopped selling? I think I just talked to somebody from Slovakia 2 days ago, and he said that they're not even allowing people to sell from there anymore. But if they're selling in the U.S., that's probably what it is he was selling in the U.S., which is smart, by the way. United States spends the most amount of money. You can see here, this is the 3% plus 0.25, and here's the United Kingdom right here, 4% plus 0.20, Great British pounds maybe. So obviously, if you're in your country, you'll know what that is. All right, so those are the fees. So now let's talk about what is coming up, okay? We are happily, I say happily, but slowly, putting together our own marketplace. And we've talked about this before. We went ahead and made the purchase. We've got the hosting. We've got the system. I've just got to put it all together. Now, there are some things we want to do eventually that's going to come down the road, but you will be able to, we're going to open up for beta at the beginning of January, okay? I don't know which day in January yet as we get closer. I'm hoping closer to the 1st, but I think it's going to be closer to maybe mid-January before I'm fully ready because people are going to be invited to come on for free. There will be transaction and processing fees to help offset the cost of the hosting and everything, but our beta users that come in the first 6 months will get a free account for at least a period of time. And of course, these are things that we can hash out later. If you're making sales, you can have probably a free account indefinitely if you come in during the beta and help us hash out the kinks. Okay, so that's something that we're doing. We're going to be bringing that out. It will not be an Etsy, right? It's not going to be an Etsy because Etsy is unique to artists and people trying to sell stuff. We do want to have a print on demand element, and we want to also have the ability for people to do drop shipping, which is not very common, right? There's not a lot of drop shipping places that are marketplaces as well. So that's something else we want to have on there. And then we're going to also try to do as many integrations as possible, but that's going to be down the road. So like email marketing, this is going to be basically so on Etsy, if you come into, let's see if we can get to this, Etsy.com. If you come into a product in here, let's just go into this one. You will see at times you have more from this seller, right? But then you may also these are from other people. So this has been one of the complaints that they've had for a really long time on Etsy and on Amazon for that matter, is that, look, I'm paying for a listing. This is my property. I paid for it, right? I mean, I am paying to rent this property from Etsy or Amazon or wherever else. And what ends up happening is the Etsy and Amazon, they're putting other people's listings on your product. And this is in marketing, this is really a pain because what will happen is if I clicked on this from Pinterest as an example, this product would be below a bunch of other recommended products. So you're doing marketing to your marketplace, to your product on the marketplace, but it's not necessarily going to the sale's not going to go to you, because if you're competing with somebody else on the same item as an example, or a similar item, and somebody else is cheaper, they could get shown above you and somebody would click on that instead. That's not right, in my opinion. And I've had a big problem with this for a long time. I think personally, a marketplace is a great idea because you want to make the customer happy. However, and then here's the thing, is if you sell widget A and it needs to go with widget B and somebody else sells widget B, then you're going to go ahead and have two people that want to do that, right? And so you're going to have those two people in the marketplace, and somebody can come in and buy widget A and widget B and they can be happy. So the marketplace is a good idea. I think it is a great idea. People come in, they can browse. It's just like a mall, right? But think about this. Your listing like this, when people start adding stuff below it or start adding above it, when Etsy's doing that, think of it like a mall, right? Everybody goes, oh yeah, marketplaces are like a mall. Okay, so walk into a mall, right? And you walk into whoever's shop that they're paying for, okay? That they're paying for. You walk into their shop and you're browsing and you're like, okay, I'm in here, I'm looking at their products. And then all of a sudden somebody from the shop next door comes in and says, oh, hey, look, I have this product that you're looking at. Why don't you come buy it from me? That would not be allowed in a mall, right? That would be just completely unacceptable. So I believe this is the same concept, that this should be unacceptable when they're putting other people's ads and other people's products on your listing page. So that's something we are not going to have. In fact, what it's going to be more like is you're going to have your own shop on it. And if you run traffic to it, they may never ever make it to the marketplace because they're going to love your stuff so much, right? So that's the idea behind it. So we're going to open up in beta in January. Like I said, we've already got stuff on. Marjorie, ECWID, is that a marketplace or is that like a software or something? I've heard of it, but for some reason it's not triggering in my brain right now. Probably because my brain is like overloaded with all the stuff. So yeah, so that's one of the things that we're very frustrated with, right? Because I can't tell you how many times that I've clicked on ads from Pinterest or from Facebook or something where I've clicked on something that I've listed. And now it goes, and it used to be a way where you could like bypass it by putting your shop name in there, but they've removed that. So now it just varies. It just depends on how their algorithm decides to present it. So it's an interesting tactic on their part for making money. But you've got to think about this too, is that Etsy cannot be for the sellers anymore, right? Everybody goes, oh, Etsy's pro seller. Yeah, they're so pro seller that small shops don't have anybody to talk to. There's no customer service value whatsoever. And you get shut down for no reason. I mean, literally, people are trying to open an account. They've done nothing wrong, and it gets shut down. They haven't even put a listing on, right? That's not acceptable. That's something that violates their own policies. So yeah, anyway, I won't go on my rant about Etsy anymore. I'm sure Amazon has similar issues. I've been on Amazon forever, so I don't have any complaints about them. I think it's a good place to market. And I always have believed you should use these marketplaces as an introduction to customers and then bring them back into your own environment. So yeah, that's where we're going with this. I'd like to pull up a thing and kind of show you a full chart, but we're going to do that another time because I actually got a new computer and I don't have half my software installed yet. It took so long just to get, I should say so long. The computer came in 2 days ago and I put it up and then I put in all the drivers. It's got Windows 11 on it and not everything is compatible with Windows 11. Surprise, surprise! Which was funny because I was on Windows 10, upgraded from Windows 8, and I had software in there that said this isn't compatible with websites where you upgraded from Windows 8 to Windows 10. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. How did I get the one product in the world that's not compatible with either software? So, all right. So Marjorie says ECWID is a website where you can sell your products free or small cost for dedicated domain. Yeah. So it sounds like it's more like a hosting thing, and I'll put that on my list to add to our comparisons if it's not. But this is something like a lot of people think that, what was that other one that my dad was like, which I'm not talking to him right now, but my dad and my sister were talking, and my dad came up with two comparable things to Etsy. One of them isn't really comparable to Etsy, but you could sell on it for free. And that's what I'm going to test out. And again, I'm sorry, it's on my other computer, so it's going to have to wait a few days or whatever. And we'll do another whole thing about it. We'll do blog posts and everything. It'll be fun. But yeah, so a lot of these they claim, so like for example, Shopify claims to be like an Amazon competitor. It's not, right? It's not at all. So you have to think about these things that if it's a marketplace where people can go to www.something.com, so like Etsy, and they get a bunch of different shops on the front page. But if you go to Shopify, which again, some people think that Shopify is a competitor to these places. Shopify is not. This is not a marketplace. This is hosting, right? Yeah, Chrissy, I think Bonanza is the one that we're going to test out for you guys. Like this week or probably this weekend, I'm going to get in there. So Bonanza, I think this is the one. Yeah, so this is a marketplace, right? This is a marketplace. And you can sell on it. So you can sell on Bonanza for free, right? But was it Big Cartel? What's the other one? Chrissy, you're making me pull stuff up. I cannot remember. So Big Cartel. Yeah, so this one is not a marketplace. So Big Cartel, people think that Big Cartel is a marketplace. In fact, I think some places even like promote it that way, right? And it's like, this actually is not a marketplace. If I can go here and it tells me to open my store, it's not a marketplace, right? This is just a hosting then. If I go to here, whoops, this is not the right page, right? It's this one right here. This is a marketplace because you've got different ones. I will tell you, everybody is opening at marketplaces. right? Everybody. So we're not the only ones starting this. What did they say? What was the new market? There was a new marketplace that's coming out. So anyway, so Walmart has a marketplace, which by the way, Walmart is horrible to integrate with. So if you want to integrate with Walmart, you probably need Shopify because they did partner specifically with Walmart. And I know of 2 other places that have been trying to integrate with Walmart and they can't get through to anybody and they can't make any progress. And so if you want to get on with Walmart, you better just plan on Shopify. So, we want our marketplace to integrate with other marketplaces as well, like eBay, Etsy, Amazon, all of these that we can. Probably not Walmart because it'll be a while, but we want to be able to go through all of these and integrate with all of them. So that way you can have one location. So if you don't want your own website, ours can be a hub. If you do want your own website, ours can be another marketplace and it still integrates with everything. Or let's say you're on Shopify and you're like, hey, I don't want to pay to integrate with all these other places. You could be on our marketplace and then integrate from our marketplace to the other marketplaces as well. So, which is, by the way, not something other marketplaces do, right? They don't try to integrate with other marketplaces. They just go, oh, well, we'll integrate with some software or some program, like Shopify as an example, right? They're not a marketplace. So anyway, I think ours is going to be really exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun when we get on there. We're going to try to keep the fees as low as possible. We've already been talking about, hey, what happens if we, so Facebook Marketplace with ours, not immediately, like the integrations will be later. We are looking at doing that. I will say Facebook is very, very difficult to get approved with. So there might be a delay, but I think, and this is where Chrissy and I were talking about it. We're like, well, what if we found one that solves the other problems, right? We found one hosting that solves the other problems and told people that's the hosting you need to do for your site so you can integrate with these other ones. But if you're on, like, say, if you have like a WooCommerce shop or whatever, there are already a lot of integrations that work with that. So if somebody already has those, they're not as critical. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure that we have Facebook Marketplace. We've got, like I said, I don't think we're going to be able to do Walmart, but we're going to have Amazon, we're going to have Etsy, we're going to have eBay for sure. Those 3 for sure. And then I'm going to look at, there's a new marketplace, like I said, coming out. I can't remember what it was though. Oh, you can use Facebook Marketplace with it. Okay, well, there's a couple of them that do that too. I can't remember which ones. So I'm going to say new marketplace, and then I'm going to check the news because there was a new marketplace to launch for local businesses. That's not what I was talking about. Yeah, I thought it would be easier to find. Oh no, that was Macy's, wasn't it? I was thinking it was Macy's. Macy's new marketplace. Yep. So Macy's is starting one. I mean, there's a lot of them. Yeah. So Marjorie, to integrate with Facebook, if you want any type of legal integration with Facebook where you don't risk getting shut down, you have to get your app or your connection approved, or the API connection approved. So if ECWID is connected to Facebook and lets you automatically connect with the Facebook Marketplace, then they have it approved. They got it approved, which again, it's not impossible. It's just there's huge delays with it. Now, obviously, they've done that ahead of time, and then you're still responsible for following the Facebook Marketplace rules, which typically aren't as different than most of these marketplaces. So, but yeah, if you want to integrate with Facebook in any way with any software and not get shut down, you have to get it approved. So they do have, like I said, they do have delays. But if ECWID's already set it up, that's a nice one to start to look at for options. But again, we're going to go back to this. We're going to be talking more about this. I've been talking about what do I call it? Oh my gosh. Marketing omnipresence. Holy cow. I was trying to not say the other one. Marketing omnipresence, where you're marketing on all these different channels, right? We've been talking about that, adding it in, making it so that it's automated as much as possible. And if you have, sorry, I'm seeing these comments are coming a little delayed, but then if you have marketing omnipresence, and you have omnichannel selling. That's where you are selling on multiple channels. Those are the 2 things we're going to be looking at, because you can't just be on one marketplace. I mean, You can, and you can do well, but eventually your audience is going to shift. And this is exactly why you want to capture as much of your audience as possible anyway. And when something happens, like your Etsy account gets shut down, or your Amazon account gets shut down, or your EasyWid account gets shut down, whatever it is, you have other channels and other ways to sell, right? And so that's the whole idea. And for us, we're not going to be shutting people down unless they are literally, there's like very few instances where it would be like if you completely disobey and start putting stuff on there, which we get to approve items at the beginning, and well, for as long as we want. So we can actually review it and say, look, this isn't, you need to change this, or hey, you can't have this picture, or you need to, not put this word in it, or whatever it is. We can say that before it's listed. So people don't get shut down before violating policies they either don't understand or make no sense, or they just aren't universally applied like they're in Etsy. So for us, we're like, hey, I know it's a little bit more work on our part, but at least we can say, look, yeah, this is something that, because we are subject to what the payment processors will allow us to take payment for. So as an example, there are still lots of payment processors that will not accept, what is it called? The CBD, right? CBD stuff or anything related to that industry, that they're like, no, we're not going to have anything to do with that. And granted, more payment processors are opening and welcoming that as laws change. But you got to think about this, is that they have to protect their legal side of it. And so they've decided, hey, we're not going to accept that industry. So that industry has a real tough time finding payment processors, right? In fact, a lot of them, they have to just, and there was a show about this where they were making kind of fun of it, I guess. But the lady had to take an entire suitcase full of cash and put it in a safety deposit box because she couldn't even open a bank account in for her business. This was quite a few years ago. But so while things have changed, we are restricted in business. We are restricted by what we can and can't do. So we're not a cash transaction online. And since we're not, we have to be under the rules of transactions with our payment processors. So like PayPal, they're going to say certain things you can and can't do with accepting payments. So you can't do like weapons or drugs, or there's a lot of different industries that fall under that. And by drugs, I mean like even herbal supplements and stuff, right? You can't even do those. So those are going to go through special payment processors where we won't be allowed to have them on our platform if we're using something like PayPal. And even if we have our own payment processor, they're going to have their own rules. So those are different things that we have. These are all different things that we look at and we say, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How are we going to implement it? And it's been ongoing for a couple of months. We've been going back and forth about this. And we finally decided, yes, let's pull the trigger and let's go ahead and put the marketplace out there. And we'll open for beta in January. So, all right. So Marjorie says, if you put a listing on Facebook Marketplace, you can communicate with the customer with Facebook. Yeah, with the Messenger. Yeah, and that's great. In fact, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have an integration on our marketplace. So instead of having an internal one where they can just directly reach out to you, right? And so that would be a great way. And I think we're going to make it be Messenger, because I think what we can do is make it so that you can then automate it. I'm not positive yet. We got to put it on there. We're going to get it tested and everything. This is part of what the beta people will help us with, is finding out how hard things are, if there's, how much work goes into things, what's confusing, what's not confusing, what should we take off, what should we put on, things like that. So it's not going to be as simplistic as Etsy, because Etsy, they have an algorithm that does everything, right? And they don't really help you with SEO for outside of the marketplace or anything else, because they don't care. They push their own products. They push their own ads and everything. So, and it's shopping. So who knows? But we also think that there's some benefit to SEO especially if it's a unique item, right? If you have an item that only you sell, or an item that you have a specific angle on, that you could show up easier in the listings, rather than if you were on Etsy and competing with all the other Etsy listings, then doing SEO is still of value, because we can still, we'll be putting enough advertising or marketing stuff into it that eventually we'll get that SEO value out of it. So lots going on with that. And of course, there's a lot to do with it, but we're going to have that and we're going on with that. So I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but like I said, with a new computer, I got to put a lot of stuff in order. And I went to print something last night, and I went, oh, how do I do this again? Because I have to install a specific driver and everything else. So it was fun. It's fun trying to remember stuff from 7 years ago. Right, Chrissy? 7 years ago. That's not too bad. I don't know if she's still on. I know we've got, I'm actually living with her now, and we've got 3 kids running around, so it's kind of funny. Actually, I say that. Yep, we've got 3 kids running around. Mine left, so I probably should get off computer. So does anybody have any questions, though, while we do the live Q&A portion? We haven't had any questions recently, so I'm hoping that we'll start getting some more activity in the next couple of weeks as we ramp this up. But we're going to keep going on with, of course, we've got some affiliate marketing people that we're going to keep once a week providing training on that. Schedule's going to stay the same for now. We're going to change it in January to be more e-commerce focused. And that's because that's what we're doing is e-commerce stuff. So it'll be, instead of just general marketing, Facebook marketing tips, it'll be Facebook marketing tips specifically for e-commerce, right? So if you're going to be promoting to Etsy, what should you do? If you're going to be promoting to Amazon, what should you do? If you're going to be promoting to your own site, what should you do? Things like that. Because, yeah, again, the Etsy thing is always going to be one of those buttons for me. New equipment is always fun. Yeah, it is fun. It's so funny because I can restart and start my computer like 5 times compared to how long it took my last computer just to boot up. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think it was definitely time. But yeah, we couldn't get, it wasn't able to be upgraded because it was so old. I mean, 7 years is a long time for a computer. And there's just some stuff. It just kept blue screening and randomly shutting down. And there was some sort of conflict in the codes. I just couldn't track it down because I am not a coder, right? I look at a code and I go, yeah, it looks like a code. Or a coder looks at it and goes, oh yeah, you got to take off blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that. If I delete something, I'll probably crash the entire thing. So yeah, I'm not a coder, and yet I'm still building a marketplace, right? So we'll look at Macy's as it comes out, and we've got, again, we'll do a calculator for you guys. It'll be on the website when it launches, and we'll also have, we recommend you get on as many marketplaces as possible. And if you can get on free ones where it's not going to cost you any money, and hopefully integrate that somewhere, that's going to be your best bet. So the 2 challenges with this are going to be integration, because if you can't integrate your inventory, it's going to be difficult to be on a lot of marketplaces. We know that the cost of some of these software programs to be able to integrate with, 3 or 4 or 5 different marketplaces ends up costing like $250 a month. We don't want that for you. We're going to try to include it as much as possible. Now, some things are just going to be out of our control, and there's going to be a cost that we have to pass through eventually, but those will be optional, right? We're going to have those as optional levels. So anyway, we'll be able to hash more of this out as we get the marketplace up and running. And again, in January, we anticipate to be open for beta use. So if that's something that you're interested in, leave a comment here, hop into the Facebook group, whatever, and we'll make sure that we get you the information as soon as it's out. Okay. So again, it should be pretty soon. And I'll have a sign-up sheet this weekend. I'll have a sign-up sheet so there's an email list. I had one I was starting on, but I didn't finish it. So I'm going to put that in here. So email sign up so that way I can give you guys the beta information ASAP for beta access to Marketplace. And I didn't write any of those words right. I skipped like letters on all of them. All right. So I think that looks like it's about it. Yeah, Chrissy's getting ready for her new computer. We all decided it was time to upgrade, so we did that. Yeah, thanks, Marjorie. Cool direction. I like that. I really think this is going to be a helpful resource for people. I know the marketplace isn't going to drive a ton of traffic to begin with, but it'll be a nice place where you can potentially get traffic from other people. Chrissy and I get enough organic traffic from our products that we'll be bringing people in, right? So we know that that's going to happen. The challenge is going to be with getting the massive amounts of traffic, but it's just going to take time, right? So we'll take, and of course, I've got lots of marketing tips to help drive traffic to your own shop within the marketplace too, without getting redirected to somebody else's listing. So it'll be fun. It'll be good. And we'll go ahead and I'm sure there'll be lots of questions when it comes out. So we'll do like maybe a webinar on it when it launches in January. So we'll probably launch it, let some people play with it a little bit, and then we'll do like a full webinar where we walk people through everything. So that way it will be a lot easier to understand. And everybody will be able to be going in the right direction. So I think that's it for now, since I don't see any questions. And then if I miss something, or if you do have questions, you can, obviously post them here, or you can hop into the Facebook group, which I put the link in the description already, or you can come next Thursday and ask questions then. All right, that's it for today. Thanks, Marjorie, for coming. Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks, whoever else hopped on. I know it kept telling me there's like 4 or 5 viewers at one point, so I appreciate that. And we will see you guys hopefully next week. And if you have questions in the meantime, or you have, anything, any input or anything you want to discuss, you can always hop into the Facebook group. That's a great place. It's private, so you don't have to worry about it being publicly acknowledged by people if you don't want to. So, all right, that's it for now. Thank you. Have a great weekend and a great beginning.